If you want to learn more about American liberty through the context of American history, go to my friends over at patriotpost.us, sign up today and download your free copy of the Patriots Primer on American liberty through the link in the description box below. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this virus deal that has finally been reached in a bipartisan way. The left and the right, they were able to come to the table and agree. Nancy Pelosi put the broom away, put the big, tall, pointed hat away, and decided to go ahead and let this whole thing go through. So now we have an economic stimulus package to the tune of $2 trillion, not million, not billion, but trillion dollars, the largest ever such thing in American history. Now, there is so many different ways to go. I'm not really sure where to begin. First of all, the grandstanding, the phoniness on both sides, but really on the left, was ridiculous. Did you guys see that lady? I forget what her name was. If I could find it, I'll put it in the box. Did you see her giving this, like, quote unquote, super impassioned speech, going all over the time, yelling, hollering, acting the fool?
We beam for our manufacturers who have no. I request 30 more seconds because I rise before you adorning these.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Not for personal tension, but to encourage you to take
gentleman,
these
Stevens,
I'm going to give you more time. Right now, to the families.
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized. The gentlelady is out of order.
I yield the gentlelady 30 additional seconds.
The gentlewoman is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Cause of their servitude, sharing in the profession with those who have not come before you. Similar times of trying medical need, wars and flus pass. You will see darkness. You will be pushed.
That was that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure what kind of cocaine you're on, man, but I don't want anything to do with that. I am drug free. I don't want you to even be around me when you're on drugs like that. But anyway, then of course there was AOC. She gave her 2 cents here.
What did the Senate majority fight for? One of the largest corporate bailouts with as few strings as possible in American history. Shameful. The greed of that fight is wrong for crumbs, for our families. And the option that we have is to either let them suffer with nothing or to allow this greed and billions of dollars, which will be leveraged into trillions of dollars, to contribute to the largest income inequality gap in our future.
And when I got done watching what we just watched, I'm like, all right, AOC, that's fine. You can do all this conductor movements and whatnot. That's fine. You can kind of like behave as a child, a 5-year-old, infant, a toddler, whatever you want to call it. But in the bill, there's like $25 million to give Congress a raise. So my question to AOC would be, are you going to forego your raise or no? Are you going to donate your raise money or no? And I think there have been a raise before since she's been in office, and it's only been about 2 years. So you're getting raises, you live in a life, you live in lavish. Meanwhile, those of us that are out on the street are struggling right now. We're struggling really bad, which is why I'm not necessarily opposed to the bill being signed, although I'm opposed to the bill being there. And I'll explain. The bill had to get signed because people are losing their shirt. I mean, where I live right now, I always go to the Commerce Center, where there's all kind of shops and the mall and the food spots. I'm always there. It's crazy to drive past it on a Tuesday afternoon and see nobody out there. It's absolutely crazy. I'm trying to go to some of the food spots that still have their takeout options available, and I'm trying to patronize as much as I can, but I go in there and nobody's in there with me picking up food or in the line. Chick-fil-A is still kind of jumping in the drive-thru, but a lot of the smaller spots that I like to go to that rely on the dining room being open, that rely on people just, coming through in foot traffic, I'm not sure how they're going to make it. And it's going to be permanent. People are already closing up permanently. I'm talking about shutting the store down, selling off the assets, firing all the employees, and just taking the money out of that business, if possible, and going doing something else. already from about 2 weeks worth of the quarantine, social isolation, social distancing, whatever they want to call it. So the bill is needed, although it doesn't give much to the taxpayer, at least not to me. I mean, at one point in my life, probably about 5-6 years ago, if you were to give me $1,200 US, I'd be like, thank you, I appreciate that, I need that. You know, at a point, I was like, if I had $20, it changed my life. So $1,200 at that time would mean a lot. But now that I'm doing much better for myself, $1,200 is not that much for me. It's not a small amount of money, but it's not life-changing. And a lot of people that have lost their jobs, it may not really be life-changing. It may be enough to pay their rent or to contribute towards the rent, but it's not going to be here tomorrow. I mean, let's be clear. The first is upon us. Today is the 28th. The first is Wednesday of next week. So this is Saturday. Wednesday will be the first. Sunday will be the 5th. And you know, like I know, if you're in an apartment or whatever, by the 7th, if you don't got it, it's going to be a problem. You're going to get the late charge. You may have the eviction process start. If you're 14 days late, 30 days late, you get a notice on your door from the sheriff and they're going to come evict. If the sheriffs are not going to be able to execute the eviction, now that leaves the landlord in the lurch because they're not able to pay their bills. See, this whole thing is just really bad. It needs to come to an end sooner than later. So the bill, in my humble opinion, is not a good one necessarily. You got $25 million going to the Kennedy Center. I'm not really sure why. They're trying to just show cats a bunch of more times, but I'll move on. I'm not sure why that was needed, although President Trump did put John Voight and Mike Huckabee on the board, but I'll move on. Stuff like that wasn't needed, but to give money to the industries that employ people and to give money to individuals, although not a lot, was needed. I would have just said to not have all these extreme measures go into effect to begin with. Simple. If you have an area, big city or whatever, you can just impose voluntary quarantine or something like that. People will respect it, but some of the other areas where you don't have a lot of cases or a lot of people, population density, just let them pretty much do whatever they want. You're ruining small places, small towns, small businesses because of what? 1,000 people that died of the virus? Maybe 2,000, 5,000 at the max when it's all said and done, compared to the flu that kills 30,000 average every year in the U.S. I don't really understand how this makes any sense. My ultimate thing to prevent all of this from happening, to prevent the bill from even being needed, would be to not have the strict restrictions. But since we have them, now we got to be able to deal with it. You can't just leave people in the lurch. If you told somebody, hey, you can't go to work, you can't make a living, you can't do your normal routine, you can't participate in the economy, you can't just at the same time tell them, well, you don't get anything in return for that. Either let me go out here, make my money, open my business, work my job, or compensate my job so they can continue to hire me in return. Simple as that. The latter option is not a good option, but what is the other choice? I've never seen this before. I've never seen a situation where people who want to work can't work because the government says you can't work. I've never seen that before. I've never seen businesses get closed down by the government because of a virus. I mean, this is the first time. I mean, I've seen hurricanes hit, tornadoes, bad floods, earthquakes, the whole 9 yards. I lived through a hurricane. A hurricane hit the house when I was living there and the roof caved in. So I've been in these situations where you have natural disasters, floods and everything else. But even through all of that, bad snowstorms, I remember a bad snowstorm happened and we were snowed in for like 3 days, but the store was still open. I was able to at least walk to the store and get what I needed. And some other spots were open, even though the roads are like inaccessible. But now during this whole thing, I mean, you got restaurants closed. This is too much. It's ridiculous. So you got to do something. All the grandstanding from AOC and the other lady and some on the right, it doesn't make a difference. It's all kind of a dog and pony show, in my humble opinion. We had to get this thing done. Now, hopefully, we can get the country back up and running again. We don't have this much time, all right? People don't have the rent money right now. And the landlords are not really trying to hear it. The gas company, they don't want to hear it. Electric company, they don't want to hear it. Cable, internet, daycare, private school, whatever you got going on, they're not really trying to hear it. If you have any medical bills, whatever the case may be, they're not really trying to hear your excuses. At a certain point, if we can't come to some kind of conclusion, there will be civil unrest. You've seen it already happen in China and other places in the world when things like this happen. When the economy's down, the government's not doing right, or the government are doing things that are very unpopular, it doesn't look good. I don't want civil unrest. I don't want any kind of violence. All I want is peace. And the best way to assure that we have peace is to get rid of this whole quarantine, social distancing thing as soon as possible. People are going to die. That's fine. People die every day. Don't nobody care. People die of the flu. They die of diabetes. They die of heart disease. They die of suicide, homicide, car accidents, fire, HIV, AIDS. Nobody cares. So let's get back to work. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that I'm correct in saying that we got to get back to work? I'm fine. It's not even about me, so don't get it twisted. I'm not just trying to come out here and say things that benefit me. I'm good. I have a work from home job already, and I know how to save money. I know how to be broke, and I'm straight. I'm prepared. I'm worried about those that are out there working that can't work. Now, some are going to say, oh, well, they should be able to work from home and have a nest egg, all this, that, and the third. Well, come on. I mean, not everybody can do what I do or what you do if you have money. You like going to basketball games, football games, baseball games, hockey games, tennis games, etc. Yes? Well, how are you going to get your car park valet? How are you going to get your hot butter popcorn brought to you? How are you going to get your Coke? How are you going to get your hot dog? How are you going to get your ticket? Where are you going to go to actually sit? Is it going to be clean? The bathroom, is it going to be clean? People got to be able to work there, do those things for you, and they're not going to be getting paid $1 trillion an hour or have some kind of grand scheme to where they can just work from home and do different things. Same thing with the hotel, same thing with the airplane, same thing with the taxi cab, same thing with everything else you go to. Fast food, restaurant, beauty supply store, barbershop, beauty salon, all of that good stuff. People work in these small front-facing businesses that you go to every day, that you take for granted, that you don't think about the person that actually works there. I do. Not saying everybody's just selfish and don't understand, but some people just don't get it. They think that everybody should have money stacked up and everybody's supposed to be rich. That's just not the reality of the world in which we live. I want a world in which everybody has a chance to be able to work and make something for themselves, make something of themselves, and be productive. When the government says you can't work and you can't go out there and be what you want to be, that's a problem. It's not going to last too much longer, and we got to bring it into it sooner rather than later. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.